We'll call the meeting to order at 6:30. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Richard Kinnaman.
Here.
Michael McCanny.
Here.
Ryan Mattson.
Here.
Derek Burton.
Here.
Jennifer Ryan.
Here.
Karen Winchester. Here. George Cullis.
Here. All right, agenda approval. Please note you have an amended agenda that was sent to you. There are 9 items under new business. I would like to move the last public comment in front of number 9, which is closed session. And I would entertain a motion as amended.
Move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion by Winchester, second by Kinnaman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial. They do not require discussion by the Township Board and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion. If discussion is desired on an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will automatically be moved to the last item under new business. Chair would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion by Winchester, support by Burton. Roll call, please.
Ryan Mattson.
Yes.
Michael McCanny.
Yes.
Richard Kinnaman.
Yes.
Derek Burton.
Yes.
Jennifer Ryan.
Yes.
Karen Winchester, yes. George Cullis.
Motion carries 7, yes, and motion carries 7. I guess even if I say 7, you know what my vote is. Public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant application.
Move to open the public hearing.
Motion by Winchester, support.
Support.
Burton. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are now in our public hearing for Community Block Grant application. Do I have anybody that wishes to speak? Well, I have a lot of people here tonight. I thought for sure somebody was going to stand up. Going once, twice? Doesn't appear that we have anybody.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Winchester, support by Kinnaman to close. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Were you, sir, were you here for the public hearing?
For which one?
CDBG.
CDBG grant application?
No.
Okay, because we were just closing it, and if you were, I didn't want you to miss it. All right. Then we've closed the public hearing. We will move to presentations. Manor Costerian? If you would start by introducing yourself.
This mic or the either one? Good evening. Thanks for having me. My name is Tyler Baker. I'm a senior manager at Manor Costerian, and what we're here to present tonight is the report of the financial statements for the year end 6/30 of 25 for the township. There's a number of documents in front of you, one of which being the bound audit report here. There is a governance letter that we will discuss at the end. And then the main item we will be going over today is this PowerPoint presentation. Nothing's new from this. This is just regurgitated information from the audit report, just for ease of flipping through the document and ease of presenting.
You mentioned PowerPoint, but it doesn't appear that you're putting it on the screen.
I don't have a computer, but everybody in front should have this, right?
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, in the future, like for next year,
Yep.
think about that. And we bought all that equipment so we could put it out there for people to see.
Absolutely. Yep. I'll
All
make
right.
sure I bring a USB or provide it.
Yep.
Earlier than the other day. Yep.
Okay.
So if at any point you guys have any questions, feel free to yell out and we'll get anything answered. But First of all, I want to thank Karen and Jen for all of their availability and responsiveness throughout the process. We understand your guys' jobs don't stop when we show up and the team shows up and asks for documents and questions. So we appreciate you guys being available and responsiveness on documents. We'll note this in the governance letter, but throughout the process it was smooth. When documents were requested or questions asked, we got responses in a timely fashion and no disagreements with management or anything like that. We'll talk about that further in the governance letter, but I think it's always good to reiterate to the board. So the first thing we'll go through is the opinion. So the whole thing, all of our audit work is essentially to place an opinion on a set of financial statements. In the current year, which is consistent with previous years, we had an unmodified or a clean opinion on a set of financial statements, which essentially states that the financial statements were presented fairly in all material respects with generally accepted accounting principles. The work that we do is on that bond report. As we know in the next page, as it mentions responsibilities of management, the financial statements are that of the townships. We do prepare out of convenience, but they are the responsibility of the township, as well as management is also responsible for the internal control structure. We are required to gain an understanding of the control structure, but are not required to provide an opinion on the internal controls. Through the understanding process of our financial statement audit, if anything were to come to our attention, segregation of duties issues, anything like that, that would be required findings to the board, we would disclose that in a separate letter. Similar to the last previous years, we didn't have any such findings that came to know through our audit process of the financial statement. So no management letter in the current year, which is consistent with the last couple of years. Auditor's responsibilities on the audit of financial statements is to obtain reasonable assurance on the set of financial statements and to issue an auditor's report on the opinion on the financial statements, as I mentioned in the previous page. The next page with the orange header is where we're going to start to get into some numbers. So again, this is the balance sheet of the governmental funds and the general fund specifically. As of June 30, which is a specific point in time for the year end, it shows the assets, liabilities, deferred inflows, and fund balances with a total fund balance of just over 1.5 million in the current year for the general fund. There are 5 classifications that a general fund balance can be. It can be non-spendable for items such as inventory and prepaids, restricted, which would be external restricted or legislative restrictions, committed, which would be board committed, assigned, which would be management, and then unassigned to be used for governmental activities. Total unassigned and assigned fund balance for the general fund. Assigned was $362,000, unassigned $946,000, for a total fund balance to be used for unrestricted or easily accessible assigned fund balance of 1.3 million. As a percentage of total expenditures for the current year, which we'll talk about in a second, but was just over 1.1 million. The general fund has a fund balance of unrestricted funds of approximately 113,000 or 13.6 months of operating. So overall, a healthy fund balance from the standpoint of the general fund. The next page are some summary view of the general fund's revenues, expenditures, and net increase or decrease in fund balance. General fund had revenues of just over 1.6 million for the fiscal year of 25. Prior year was just under 1.5 million. That increase majority makes up of an increase in tax base over the last couple years statewide, as well as increase in intergovernmental revenues, which would be a number of items. That would be your local stabilization dollars that you get, state shared revenue, and then some miscellaneous grants in the current year compared to 24. So that's the main drive from that increase in revenue from 1.48 to 1.65. And then you had expenditures and other financing uses, which would be transfers out to other funds. Just over 1.8 million. Prior year was 1.2 million. The majority of that increase is additional transfers out to various capital projects funds in the current year compared to the previous year. And the current year was 650,000. Prior year was 123,000. So that increase in the transfers to the capital projects funds make up for the vast majority of the increase, where total expenditures in the general fund remained overall consistent from 24 to 25. Net change in fund balance for the general fund decreased $147,000. The next page is a 5-year trend of the revenues, expenses, expenses only, not including transfers out of the general fund, and then fund balance. You have the 2022, which has that one-time kind of uptick in revenues. That was, if you think back to then,
COVID.
that's additional ARPA dollars recognized in that year. And then you had the fund balance with the corresponding uptick, and then you see that drop in 23, which was the main year in which the building and site and capital projects funds were funded. And then you have consistent from 23 through 25 of increase in revenues with the corresponding increase in expenses, which is generally what you would like to see from those revenues expended, is the consistent movement of them rather than fluctuations that aren't anticipated from year to year.
May I interrupt?
You may.
Just for a point of clarification, your last point.
Yep.
You're saying, the last PowerPoint page, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Yep.
The net change in fund balance decreasing, the 147,540,
Yep.
it wasn't because we operated at a loss or deficit, it was merely shifting accounts.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
so I just,
Yep.
for the audience to understand and
Correct.
people at home, it's not, we overspent,
Yep.
it just shifted accounts.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Different township or municipalities operate different. Some keep future infrastructure needs and improvements all in the general fund. So you would see those large fluctuations of capital outlay in the general fund, but you would see that increase in fund balance and then spending it. Most townships, including you guys, have moved it over to building and site capital projects funds to be used for future needs.
Perfect,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you for the question. The next one is the bar graph. This is the fund balance, which again just kind of, excuse me, I said bar graph, line graph, that shows the unrestricted as a percentage of the expenditures over the last 5 years. Same idea that we just talked about, where you had the uptick, property tax base and ARPA in 22, and then that anticipated transfers out to the other capital projects funds for future uses, and then 3 years of pretty consistent overall fund balance in the general fund. The next two pages are pie charts of where the majority of revenues and expenditures are incurred for the township. So the first one is revenues with the largest section, or very consistent between property taxes and intergovernmental. Intergovernmental being 44%, and property taxes being 42% of revenue in the general fund. Again, like I said, intergovernmental is including 3 or 4 different buckets, main being the state shared revenue, and then LCSA dollars. And then obviously, as many municipalities are, heavily driven on the property tax base and levy. Overall, those are very consistent year over year for the most part, besides, like we mentioned, in 22 with the uptick in ARPA, but overall very consistent from where the dollars come in for operations. General fund expenditures on the next one. Main point here is overall expenditures from a bucket or percentage standpoint, pretty consistent. But in the general fund, majority goes into the general government or operations, which would include treasurer's department, clerk department, things like that. All get lumped under the general government, and on the income statement breaks it down further, but for ease of seeing, it's all lumped by function there, with the general government being the vast majority of the expenditures, approximately 81%, specifically for the general fund. 2 new accounting standards, if you would like to read in detail. I'm not sure why you would, but if you would like, it's on page 35 of the bond report. But I'll give a summary here in upcoming years. Next year, there's 2 new GASBs that are in effect. GASB 104 won't apply very much to you guys. That's for reporting in the financial statements that clarifies right of use assets and subscription-based IT arrangements, and just give some clarification on that from a couple GASBs ago. GASB 103 will have an effect on you guys overall. So what this was going to be a much larger reporting change. Over the last 3 years, because of public comment, they've decreased that requirement, and what it will be for you guys is There is a schedule that shows original budget, final budget, actual expenses, and then a variance with the final budget. What it is adding is some additional information in the management discussion and analysis at the beginning of the audit report, and then also adding a column showing and explaining why there's significant variances or changes from original budget to final budget. So if there's estimates, you might not know what state shared revenue is, and you have budget amendments or a new project you decided to do during the year, and you see capital outlay increase from 100,000 is the original budget and 500,000 in the final budget, just for example. It's a requirement now to put in the notes to the RSI required supplementary information why that budget changed from original to final. So most of the reporting is on us on the documentation side or in the notes to the financials, but we will need management's and board's assistance in the reasoning for those significant adjustments from original to final. You may ask, what is significant? It's a good question. They don't define that in the pronouncement in the GASB, unfortunately. Generally, it's going to start at 10%, and then there'll be a dollar amount from that standpoint. And so we'll work with management from that side. But that's the majority isn't on the accounting side of GASB 103. It's on the financial statement reporting and cleaning up and being consistent for all entities across the board from what's required in the MD&A and the budget actual. Any questions on the presentation before I go over the letter? I know it's a lot.
So it was a clean audit, everything was accounted for, we're in good standing.
We placed it, our opinion is that on the financial statements was a clean, unmodified opinion. Yep. And in the first 2 paragraphs of the bond report explains that. Governance letter. I'm not going to read everything to you because it will put you to sleep, but what it does is it discloses this is required communication to the board from the auditor. Bottom of page 1, it discusses some inherent estimates included in the financial statements. So it just makes governance aware of what those estimates are. Items, things like the OPEB liability, which is other post-employment benefit plan. Items such as useful lives for depreciation. There's industry standard lives, but again, how long an asset will last is inherently an estimate. So it just discloses what those estimates are in the financial statements. On page 2, this is what I mentioned before, where if we had any difficulties encountered during the audit or any disagreements with management or any uncorrected misstatements, it would be disclosed in those first 3 paragraphs up at the top on page 2. We didn't have any such disagreements, as I mentioned earlier, or any uncorrected misstatements. So boilerplate letter from that standpoint, but it's still required communication to government, which is why I presented it to you tonight. Any further questions from a minute ago?
Doesn't appear that we have any. Does that complete your presentation? Yes.
And obviously, if you guys have any questions in the meantime, Jen, Karen, you can get a hold of me or pass along any questions that come along too. So that's what we're here for.
All right, we thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you for your help.
Thank you.
At that point, I'll move on to reports. I'll start down here with Mr. McCanny. Trustee McCanny.
I'm trustee today. We had a planning commission meeting about a property up on Dixie Highway. I think that'll be coming towards us in December. And the Dickens Festival is kicking off next week. Mark your calendars. It's a good time. And I think that's about it.
Okay. Mr. Mattson.
Question and a couple of things. I believe we had approved like new equipment, sound and video and all that. Where are we with that process?
It's all here.
Okay, I think I've got the feedback like just online. It's hard to hear us.
We do need new microphones.
Okay.
We were gonna go wireless, but that was a problem, right?
I'm not sure.
think that was part of the
Yeah.
problem. They
Mr.
didn't
Wright,
require-
can you comment on that?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
I've just received the feedback that it's really difficult for folks at home, and we had, you know, allocated funds for equipment, and so I didn't realize that, or could we introduce how to get it better quality for those watching at home?
Yes, the issues were settings on the computer. I've since corrected that issue. I've been in contact with people who are watching us live via YouTube, and everything sounds good.
Okay,
So,
perfect, thank you, appreciate that.
Thank
So
you.
there should be an improvement?
yes.
Okay.
Super. The River Church had a service where those that serve in the community and local government, it was a really nice service. There were folks from all over, including those here tonight. And it was just really cool to kind of be involved in that way, or kind of relate service to what we do. It was more focused on like the citizen rather than those in office, and so I wish there was a little bit more just on like the responsibilities of us and everything, but I thought it was really nice to come out and kind of hear something related to, you know, what we do. And it was really cool.
It was kind of a, yeah, they prayed for elected officials. They talked about responsibility and what we do and how people should be appreciative. In this day and age, it was really nice to hear somebody have positive things to say. And it was a surprise. I don't know about you, you were in a different part of the room than I was. But when the service was over, multiple people come up and thanked us for what we do and shook our hand, and we don't always get thank yous.
But yeah, just really nice that they thought of that and invited us out. So really cool. And then last, I just want to thank everyone on this board. I've had the opportunity to go to Holly Township meetings recently over some things. And it's just really nice that, you know, of course there's budgetary restrictions and decisions to be made, but I believe we all fully support our staff, including our fire. And it just was, it was a little shocking going to those meetings. I don't want to speak too negatively, but I just really appreciate how we operate as a township, how we operate here, whether we agree or disagree. We're very cordial. And I believe that we're all doing what we feel is best for our community and have integrity on the forefront. And so I just really wanted to point that out, that I appreciate each and every one of you for all that you do. So, thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
That's all I
thank you. I'll turn our direction to Trustee Kinnaman.
Nothing's personal, but are you going to kind of give an update on the barn at all?
Yeah, I can talk about that.
Okay. Thank you.
That's it?
That's it.
Oh, okay.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You didn't want to advertise the soiree?
That's a private event.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not public.
Gotcha. Mr. Burton?
Yes, so one of the other things I wanna discuss, which maybe you were there, I'm not sure, about the library meeting. I don't know if anybody was at the library meeting, if they
Yeah.
could.
That was Mr. Mattson.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have knew. I'm like wrecking my brain. Yeah, the library meeting, they are very early on in their discussions with that. There were a lot of, I'd say the main people in attendance were the various stakeholders of the areas in which they'd want to petition to become a district library. There were a lot of good questions asked. The library board was very receptive to all of them and answered the ones that they could. I know that I had a lot of questions. It seems like the main thing that they're looking to get is no particular order, but one, funding to expand on services that they provide. They currently do have a budgetary surplus, but they are being requested, in their words, to expand on the different things and different populations, whatever else. They have grown in their membership counts, so they want to maintain a good financial standing, as well as be able to expand on the services in which they want to provide. The other thing that they mentioned was having more representation as far as the other municipalities having a more diverse population group as far as elections, and having them on the board as well. They want to have both the schools involved, Holly area and Holly Academy. Not necessarily a financial standpoint because, there's already taxes allocated for schools. But they're already doing some things with them, so I wanted to learn a little bit more as to like how they wanted to partner with them more, or why they couldn't now, since they had budgetary surplus and everything. The question of the impact on them with potential village moving to cityhood, again, not been answered, but the question was presented. All things to think about. So they're very early in this process. There'll be a lot more to it. But yeah, it seemed like they just wanted to kind of get initial feedback, questions, and there will be more to come as far as that process. So
Were there
Okay.
people there from Rose and Groveland?
yes,
Okay, awesome.
I didn't catch their title. Sorry.
It was,
But there were a representative, at least one representative from each of those, as well as Holly area schools and Holly Academy.
it
And
was
then myself
Rose-
and Karen. Anything
Rose
that I'm
Township
missing?
Clerk. No, that was good, thank you.
Yeah.
The Rose Township Clerk, Debbie Miller, and Kevin Scramlin, Groveland Township Supervisor.
Over there.
Yeah, because I did see a follow-up email where they sent a PowerPoint. I mean, they've been very thorough and
Yes,
Please
I was gonna
transparency
say,
and
we have the
communicating.
PowerPoint.
everything. Yeah, unfortunately, they did it on my favorite holiday, which is opening day of gun season. But people in this town, I swear to God, they do that for everything. I
Yeah.
see like opening day of bow season or something, opening day of gun season.
So there were no decisions made, but they are pursuing this. They do want it to go through. I don't recall a date, but I believe there is going to be like a public hearing
Will
scheduled.
this be a ballot initiative?
Yes.
Yes.
So it has to go to the voters?
They have to, I believe it's going to go in front of each board. I'd have to look back. So it'll go in front of each board to vote on if they wanted to participate. And then at that point, a committee would be made. I could be butchering this, I apologize. But I'm pretty sure they're gonna go in front of each of the municipalities. It'll be a vote. Then there's a committee made with representatives of however it's structured. There will be a charter, bylaw, whatever written from that. And then if they're doing a mill rate, like if they're seeking funds, at that point, that and the rate amount will go in front of all those municipalities to be voted on by the voters.
So I did have a couple of residents touch base with me. I was not at that meeting either. I had to work all day Friday, and we went up north to, for my wife to see her grandnephew, the first great-grandchild, I should say, not great-grandchild. Anyway, but I knew that Mr. Mattson was there. But I did have a couple people calling, and their complaint was that they had asked for data, and they said, oh, we have the data, but they weren't willing to, they said, well, we don't have it with us.
There were some
They
things.
didn't
They had
have
said that they had
numbers.
like a future plan, like their planning packet. I can't remember the exact verbiage, so they called it.
Well, they
Thank
said
you.
they
So
have
someone's,
these studies
yeah,
and they have
strategic
this
plan.
stuff, but they didn't have anything for people to
Yeah,
see.
so there was, I had asked of,
Was this
what
meeting
is
taped?
the,
Can you
No.
watch it? No.
what was the percentage of memberships from each municipality? Like if it was 75% village, 10% outer township, and then, they didn't have that in front of them, but they said that they did have it. So they do have that information. You can contact, if you're looking for specific data, either look for that on their website in that strategic plan, or email any of them on the board, and they can get some of that information for
Okay.
us. So, yeah, they just didn't have it. There were a lot of questions fielded, I will say. There were a lot of questions, and they were able to speak to most of them, so.
Yeah, well, besides that, I just want to tell everybody happy Thanksgiving and that I am thankful for you all around.
Thank you.
Thank you for your kind words.
All right,
That's all I got.
from there, I will move to the clerk.
I'll copy that.
So that means
That's it.
that means you have nothing. Okay. Not with treasurer?
Just things going on with Haya. They're obviously doing their Christmas thing. I can't remember the name of it right now, but the Christmas thing. Get the
Jacobson
presents. Yes.
Jacobson Quinn,
They're also
Tor-
doing a Texas Roadhouse gift card fundraiser. So if you want some Texas Roadhouse, I believe it's a very short window. So if you want to talk to us right away. And then the mental health fair is tomorrow, is the 20th, right?
Yeah.
Tomorrow at 5 o'clock at the new middle school.
okay. First, let me go to Mr. Kinnaman regarding the farmstead. We're in difficult position with JDS Historical. The contract we wrote at the time, with his enthusiasm, we never thought to put a completion date in there. And he picked up a project in Bloomfield Hills that had a date restriction on it. It was on a piece of property that had been sold, and it had to be moved by a certain date and in order before the contractor would tear it down. And rather than him tell us that up front, that he was going to stall, we figured it out kind of through the back door. He's been out here a couple of times, but he has given us multiple timelines, and he's never met any of them. We've talked about, you can't really hire somebody else to do it because all the puzzle pieces are marked the way he did it. I don't know if there's any advantage to going to court, because we don't have any teeth in the contract that says you're supposed to have this done. It's been very unfortunate. It's hurt the program. And I've told him that. Been very disappointed in it, but he was out a week ago or so and put some more wood on the side. John Ballant had asked him from HRC, had asked him to give us some kind of projection on when we can expect it to get done, and we're waiting for that response. But it's been an unfortunate situation. Other reports, I don't know if you saw it on Facebook, there was a tree limb that came down at the cemetery. And when you think of a tree limb, you think of something like this. This is the first tree limb on that tree, and the tree's over 100 years old. So it's a big monster, and it came across almost half of the cemetery, distance-wise. We've already called a company to come out and do the cleanup. I was out there and took a closer look today. I got a hold of Karen, and I said, we need to have the tree company come out here and probably take the whole tree down, because where it's separated and broke, you can see in the tree it's hollow. I do have a picture on my phone if anybody wants to see it later, but it's right behind the mausoleum, and in the picture we got very lucky that it didn't damage any headstones. There's one headstone that stands probably between 2 and 3 feet above ground, and the tree is right on the top of it, and it missed it by about 4 inches from hitting it, because if it had hit it, it would have just destroyed it. But the rest of the tree kind of aims toward the back of the cemetery, and if it were to go down, who knows what damage it would do. So at this point, we've kind of left it in the hands of the tree company. They're the same company we've had before that's worked in the cemetery, to take a look at this and make the call. But it wouldn't surprise me if they take the whole thing.
Well, we'd have to bid that out then.
For the whole tree?
Because it'll be a good $3,000 or $4,000 for the size of
I
that
thought we
tree.
raised the amount to 5,000 that we can do stuff like that.
No, I'd have to look at our policy
Okay.
again. Yeah, we have new policies, so we have to remember to look at them.
Okay. Well, I thought it fit within the parameter, so,
It
All right.
may.
okay. So, I have, what else was it I was gonna? Oh, the other thing I was gonna report on is actually on the agenda, so we can do it there. I think that's it for now. We will move on to public comment. On agenda items only, members of the public may address the board on agenda items only, once recognized by the supervisor. Comments are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. The board may extend this time by a majority vote. Prior to addressing the board, members of the public shall state their name and address for the record. A second public comment is available after our item number 8 on new business because we amended the agenda. Thank you for your cooperation. Anyone for public comment? This is probably one of the biggest audiences we've had in a while, and nobody wants to stand up. Okay. We do appreciate you coming out. I like to see people out here because that means more people are getting the information and more people are getting the right information instead of the social media information that always seems to show up posted by people that have never been to a meeting. I'm always mystified. Nobody comes in and asks questions, nobody calls, but all of a sudden they're on social media and they're an authority as to what we're doing. I always find that interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Like we're broke.
That, oh, yeah, that post
It's gonna
a
get
couple of
brought up
months
on the
ago,
new business plan.
That's true.
and it was like, well, I'm not even gonna get into that because I'll just get aggravated over it. But anyway, we don't have anything under old business. We will move to new business, which is to approve the audit, the financial statements that were submitted tonight. Chair would entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve or accept the audit that was presented.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion by trustee Kinnaman, support by clerk Winchester. Is there any further discussion?
Just so you had kind of started talking about, just to point out that we're not operating at a deficit and we're in a good, healthy budget for our operations.
Absolutely.
All right. Roll call, please.
Ryan Mattson,
Yes.
Michael McCanny,
Yes.
Richard Kinnaman,
Yes.
Karen Winchester, yes. Jennifer Ryan,
Yes.
Derek Burton,
Yes.
George Cullis.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Number 2 on new business is the auditor contract for June 30th, 2025 through June 30th of 2027.
I would move to approve the auditor contract for June 30th, 2025, 2026, and 2027.
Is
So-
that meaning?
I actually have a
Years?
request, if we could, before we go, sorry to jump to them.
Well-
I would like some kind of opt-out agreement in this on our behalf, because it looks like they can stop and halt proceeding at any time they like. But, I mean, we don't have that, so I would like to see where both parties would have to give some kind of written notice to the other party, saying that they don't want, because what was it, several years ago, we were in this auditing situation where it was like, boom,
Oh, that's right.
So I would like to see some kind of written notice, however it goes, whether we be the one doing it to them or they be the one doing it to us. But notice of some kind of opt-out with 30 days, 60 days, whatever the case is, before we move forward and sign this. Because it does look like they could just be done like anytime they want, but yet we have no recourse as to terminate this.
Well, on page 8, termination and withdrawal, either party may terminate this agreement at any time.
Oh, okay. See, because I was looking at because there was like a backup.
Yeah, I know, there's like two, it's like there was, like an initial one and then an amended addition. Cause it talks about, like, page 5, there's all this and that, and then there's a signature, but then if you keep going, it says addendum A, terms and conditions on that very first page, the page 8, termination and withdrawal.
See, I would still even like to have that include some kind of 30-day, 60-day.
I do agree if there was a change that there would be some sort of time frame
Yeah,
for
that way,
whatever,
because
yeah.
if they're doing it to us, then at least we have 30 days or whatever to find a new one. And if we're letting them know, then they know, okay, well, hey, we'll wrap up, do what we need to do, get them what they need, and then we're done. So I think it's beneficial to both parties, honestly.
It is.
So, like I said, now, if we just decide how many days we would like that, and I don't believe he's here anymore, but.
Do we want to come up with maybe like a day range that we're happy with as a board that administration could negotiate with them to just so it doesn't have to come back in front of us and delay it.
Yeah.
I wrote 60 days down based on
Okay.
what you said.
That's fine. Yeah.
But just if they don't
I
want
agree with
60 days,
60
if they
days.
want 90, if we only say 60.
Oh, I think longer is always better.
But I'm just saying, like, do we want to
Mm-hmm.
say, like, you know,
Between 60 and 90 days.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
pending agreement between
So
Holly
the issue is,
Township
if,
and.
if we want to add that to the contract, we can, we'll need to postpone it till December.
Well, he's saying approve it with the, as long as the agreed upon time, if I'm understanding correctly, is between what we're saying right now is 60 to 90 days, then we would give the administration rights to go ahead and approve and sign the contract. And then
Okay,
we'd approve it tonight.
if you're willing to do that, would you like to make the motion? Wait a minute, Karen's already
I'll
made
withdraw my emotion.
Okay. So
your emotion.
My motion.
So I will make a motion to approve the auditor contract for June 30, 2025, 26, and 27, contingent upon a opt-out agreement in the range of 60 to 90 days, and allow administration to sign off on the contract, as long as those terms are met.
So you said between 60 and 90.
Yep,
Notice.
terminate, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Support.
Motion by Burton, support by Winchester. Is there any further discussion? None appearing. This is a contract. We'll do a roll call, please.
Richard Kenneman,
Yes.
Derek Burton,
Yes?
Jennifer Ryan,
Yes.
Mike McCanny,
Yes.
Karen Winchester, yes, Ryan Matson,
Yes,
George Cullis.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. All right, now we'll move on to number 3. I'm not sure what PY stands for.
Project year.
Project Youth?
Project year.
Oh, Project Year 2026, okay. Community Development Block Grant Application, Proposed Resolution 2518.
So I'll start by saying the county changed how they do the CDBG. So the public service dollars are still the same because they're still restricted by HUD to 15%. So they've restricted us, so it's just a formula, we get whatever we get. What's on here and what they've asked us to do is put the amount that we got last year, which is the 4639. But for the other dollars that can be used on other kinds of like public infrastructure and stuff, it's now competitive grants. So all the communities basically put in what they'd like, and then they will grade them and give them as they see fit. So, which is good for us because previously the amount we were allocated by formula was so low we couldn't really do anything
Like
with it.
19,000?
Right, exactly. So now at least we can compete for it. Now we may or may not get it, but at least maybe we'll get something that we can actually do with.
This is controlled by the county?
Yes.
And that is only because our county is so large. Most of it's done by the state, if I'm not mistaken, through the state CDBG office, but because Oakland County is so large, they do it by that. Yeah, that was like, I thought we were reprogramming a heck of a lot of program years here. when I
Yeah,
seen
so
it.
all of this is contingent on us winning, basically.
Right.
So they've given us like the score sheet that, and it's the CDBG group themselves that will be scoring and things like that. So for our public service dollars, we've put the youth services for Haya this year. The last couple of years we've done Haven, but Haya said that they would, because Haya said they couldn't spend it. We used to go back and forth, but now they say they think they can spend it again.
Good.
So we have done them this year to kind of go back to the back and forth. The second item, public improvement for removal of architectural barriers. That is for the new town hall facility now that does not fully cover what it would cost, but based on how much money the county is allocating out to all the communities, we figured it was to ask for a reasonable amount as opposed to the full cost, because then we figured we'd just be like, nope, that one's too much. We can't give you all that money. So we've asked for support in that project. The next one, minor and mobile home repair program. So a lot of communities, particularly the ones that were already getting allocated larger amounts, have these programs. You basically, you meet the poverty guidelines, and then we can help with things like new water heaters, fixing, furnaces, things like that to help with home repairs that cannot be afforded otherwise. And then the last one, non-residential historic preservation. This is for work needed at the South House. Again, it is not the full cost of what would be needed to be done to the South House, but it is about half of the cost of what would be needed to repair that.
I just want to say how awesome this is because I have been researching CDBG for like 6 years now.
They
And
changed it,
$19,000 just
Was not.
nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I know
So-
they changed the whole program,
Right.
which was good, cause Jen was taking it over, so
Yeah.
it's like,
Good timing.
it
to-
was
yeah.
perfect timing,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Jen and I.
She didn't have to learn the old way and then the new way.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I will say that first meeting that they had a couple of required meetings to kind of discuss the new changes and all that, and so many communities were really frustrated about the new process. Well, of course, those were the communities who got tons of money, so I made
Exactly,
sure to
yeah.
let them know, I am very glad about this new process, because we might actually be able to do something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, Jen's worked hard on it, and she's corralled me more than once coming in the building to help her put it together.
Yeah, cost estimates and things like that, yeah.
And we've made some phone calls to find out some different information. Oddly enough, I actually had somebody, while we were talking about it, I had somebody come in to the township with a need for a resident out in the township that is wondering if there was anything we could do to help. And then I saw on Facebook the other day, somebody was out on one of the discussion groups, the furnace has gone out and they don't have heat and they were needing help. So there is a need out there, and hopefully, we've pointed a finger at it, and we'll just have to see what the county does. Is there any other discussion? Chair would entertain a motion to approve.
I will make a motion to approve program year 2026 community development block grant application proposed resolution 2025-18.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion by Burton, support by Jen Ryan. What?
I said you can't just say Ryan, because then you'll get confused.
I know, that's why I stopped myself when I got to say Jen, or we'll get into that again. It's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2025-18. Roll call, please.
Karen Winchester, yes. Jennifer Ryan.
Yes,
Derek Burton.
Yes.
Richard Kinnaman.
Yes.
Michael McCanny.
Yes.
Ryan Mattson.
Yes.
George Cullis.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Now we moved on to number 5, proposed amendment to Holly Township Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Township Board. What? No?
Number
skip number
4.
4.
Skip the
Oh,
fire authority.
I'm
budget.
surprised the chief didn't jump up.
You're just trying to get a public
I got so
comment.
many notes here, I missed myself. So number 4, Oakland County Fire Authority Budget, proposed resolution 2519. Chief, did you want to come up and talk on your budget?
Good evening, can you hear me okay? So what you have before you tonight is our proposed budget. And just a quick history is that this is our first budget that will be beginning on January 1st.
I don't think you're in that microphone at all.
I don't know if it worked. They don't
Can you
work
guys
very
hear it
well.
over there through the mic?
There's one right here.
Okay, sorry about that at home. So this is our first calendar year budget that we're presenting. Traditionally, we've gone from July 1 to June 30th. We get a short bridge budget of 6 months that expires on the 31st of December. So this is where we're at now. What we're proposing is a balanced budget for you. It's $3,008,754, revenues and expenditures. The township's portion of that is $1,243,327. Each township, Rose and Holly, contribute an equal share to that. And then the remainder of our revenue is mostly cost recovery. We project project about $470,000 of cost recovery. That's through our ambulance service that we provide to the residents. So that does help, obviously offset the cost of the townships. There are several enhancements in this budget. Most of them revolve around contract negotiations, which are still ongoing. So I can't really get into the meat and potatoes of a lot of those things until the union ratifies or rejects the offer, which we'll be presenting tomorrow, provided you guys give us the nod with the budget tonight. So, any questions? I know this was really brief, but I mean, it's really, there's not much there other than, yes, sir.
Rose Township has already approved this.
Yes, Rose Township, last Wednesday night, at their regular meeting, they unanimously supported this budget. So pending your, this board's action tonight, if it is approved, then this becomes now the authority's budget, and we move forward. Any comments, concerns?
Say, any discussion? Questions?
I don't really see, as far as expenditures, money being set aside for like capital improvement needs.
You would be correct in your observation.
So, I mean, we've had some conversation.
We have.
I think that, and I'd like to meet and potentially talk about that more, but
I welcome that.
I just don't want to, I don't want us to get caught in a position where we're in a really tough spot as far as like, equipment need and everything, so hopefully, hopefully in the future budgets, we can plan for that, and I understand, you know, you're working,
Yeah.
you're working lean, that's not like,
Yeah, so.
you know, so,
You know, with full disclosure to your question, in this budget, if everything is everything, $26,561 is what we would expect to transfer out into our general fund, which, you know, that's our rainy day account, and that's not our capital equipment or anything like that. I mean, that doesn't really exist, but that's our rainy day fund that, you know, if something were to happen, we can take care of a little bit of something, but just not a lot of something. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, we'll be talking more soon about
Well, I was gonna say,
possible plans to,
Yeah,
As-
it's
address
just, it's
that.
concerning, right? Like
Yeah,
this, we
absolutely.
count on their services,
Yeah.
and,
so
I want them to be supported, and, you know, I don't want a truck to break down on the side of the road and when someone's in crisis, that'd be horrible.
Yeah.
So,
so I was gonna say, as the chairman of the board for NACFA,
yeah,
I've made it clear in the meetings that right now we're trying to get the union negotiation, the collective bargaining agreement handled. And once we handle that, we're going to, in the new year, we're gonna start looking at a combination, capital improvement and taxing authority, with the board going forward. Right now, we need to get this budget out of our way. We need to get the CBA handled. And then once that's done, the next step is
that's,
looking at the authority so that we never have to go. The taxing authority, or the fire authority was created, what, 25 plus years ago?
1984.
So almost 40 years ago. And unfortunately, at the time they did that, they didn't couple it with a taxing authority. And we know, looking at the history of the department, they could have solved two major issues that they've had over the past 40 years. The one we recently went through, and then when the village left the authority. Had they had a taxing authority in place at the same time they created this authority, those would have never happened.
Correct.
And we'd be in a very different place. So we can't go back and change anything, but we can fix it going forward, and that's our intent. One of the things that I had said is, there's a process, we've got to get one thing out of the way before we get to the next one. And that's where we are. But I've already talked to the chief, we've had the conversation, the board's aware of it. I've made it aware that that's where we're moving to the next one. I've already had preliminary conversations with Supervisor Stillwell from Rose Township, and we'll be moving in that direction. And there'll be a lot of information that'll come back.
Cool.
Because it'll need to be approved by the two township boards, but we'll get into that. So just so you know, it's on our radar, and we're heading that way.
So my question related to the contracted services, what type of services are those, like the auditor, or those?
Yes, so dispatch, auditor, IT, bills, these kind of
Okay.
contracted services, typical boilerplate stuff.
Okay.
I would guess most of that's dispatch.
Pardon?
Said I would guess most of that's dispatch.
Right.
Yeah.
Dispatch isn't cheap. I think we write a check for about $6,000 a month.
Can you say that louder?
About $6,000 a month is what we write our check to dispatch for.
I don't know of anybody else, but I don't think he's coming through the speakers, is he?
He said he was on the.
I think he's online, but not necessarily the
This
speaker here.
speaker isn't working,
Yeah,
So we need to use that little one.
okay.
but the,
And
Well, I think-
James? Okay, I would say the speaker in here isn't working, but okay. Is there any other discussion? Chair would entertain a motion to approve proposed resolution 2025-19.
I'll make the motion to approve the 2026 NACFA Fire Authority budget, proposed resolution 2025-19.
Is there support? Motion by Kinnaman, support by Burton. To approve the proposed resolution 2025-19. Is there any further discussion? None appearing. Roll call, please.
Michael McCanny,
Yes.
Ryan Mattson,
Yes.
Richard Kinnaman,
Yes.
Karen Winchester, yes. Jennifer Ryan,
Yes.
Derek Burton,
Yes.
George Cullis.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Number 5, proposed amendment to Holly Township Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Township Board, Article 3, Officers and Employees, Division 2 Benefits, Section 2-83A. Benefits. Karen?
Jen?
Oh,
So-
okay.
So it kind of goes along with number 6.
Yeah, they go together, that's why I
Which
said
is,
Jen,
has,
yeah.
we put a little memo together to summarize, because it's the things that what is that guy's job? That they-
Benefits coordinator.
Benefits coordinator gave us
It
was very
was-
confusing to read.
Yes.
But basically, we had been talking internally about adding short-term and long-term disability to our employees' benefits package. So we asked our benefits coordinator to get us some quotes, and what he brought back, the cheapest in the short-term disability, by just a small margin, it was .421 instead of .423, did not bid on the long-term disability. So, but the second cheapest on the short-term and the cheapest on the long-term were the same. And then he also went back to them for rates regarding, life insurance, so we would have like a discounted rate because they were all together, which would save us, because right now we're paying $1,044 a year on life insurance, and with this updated, bid from Lincoln, it would be $437. So combined for the short-term disability, the long-term disability, and the life insurance, we'd have a total annual cost of $5,500 to add this on. It just seemed like something that, like we've talked about before, we can't afford necessarily to pay big wages, but these little benefits can be very, very helpful, and for such a low cost, but such a big benefit to the employees, it seemed. And I think part of it came out of NACFA. NACFA recently added it to theirs, and that's when
Yep.
we realized it was really
Like,
not
hey,
that
we're-
expensive.
Right, right.
Well, when NACFA first looked at short-term disability, we were with the understanding the cost was about $60,000. And that's what the previous chief had come to the board with, so it wasn't doable. Well, when we took another look, Matt when he talked to the insurance guy for our new numbers, he asked about short-term disability, and the guy said, "You're talking 5,000." And Matt said to him, talk to me like I'm a third grader. Are you talking 5,000 per person, which would make it, we have 11 people, that would make it about 55,000. And he said, and the guy said, no, that's 5,000 on the rider for the whole department.
So it
And-
must have been a previous
And
misunderstanding.
it had to have been a
with the-
misunderstanding, because at that point, we were like, wait a minute, that's a no-brainer. And, we've had a couple of situations here at the township. if you've got sick time to carry you through a short illness, and then we've got a disability for a long term, but there's that piece in the middle if you need 90 days or something like that. And when we looked with our insurance carrier, we come up with those same kind of numbers. So we felt that it was doable and we wanted to bring it to the board.
And then, in order to do that, our benefits is outlined in our ordinances, so the change would be adding disability on the ordinance
Well,
amendment that you have.
that's why I turned to you, because it was an
Yeah.
ordinance. I figured, and then you shot the ball over here to Jen. So,
Project.
yep. Well, it's something that that we've discussed together.
Yeah.
But, all right, so, at this point, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the proposed amendment to the Holly Township Code of Ordinance, Chapter 2, and the rest of that whole line, and then understand once that changed, it allows us to go right to number 6. Would somebody like to make
I would
that?
make a motion to approve.
Don't everybody jump at it.
Support.
Motion by Winchester, support by Mattson. For the,
But I did have discussion. I mean,
that's fine.
okay, so on
I
the
always
one-
do that.
What's that?
I said I always do that.
I mentioned it removed, it said this updated quote removes the elected staff from short-term disability quote. I was wondering why that was.
Because we would get paid either way. We don't have like
That's- okay.
PTO and
Right.
things like that, so we would get paid.
That was my second thing, 'cause
Statutorily, we
that's
get paid either way.
exactly- Yeah, that's exactly. So then elected officials are basically in this for life insurance. For the
Yep.
most part. Yeah, okay.
Any other discussion?
Are we talking about just the ordinance or the plan numbers?
Just the ordinance.
This one's the ordinance,
No, whoops.
but I
Either
said
way.
that sets us up for number 6.
Yeah.
That wasn't a dig, I just wanted to.
No, no.
I didn't want to breeze right past 6 really quickly and not have an opportunity, so.
Yeah.
All right, any further discussion? None appearing? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Now we go to number 6, which is the proposal for the short, long-term disability for employees excluding elected officials. And Jen already gave you the numbers on that, so I'll move right to discussion.
My question with the Lincoln, the benefit percentage being higher, is that the payout of the employee's salary?
Yes.
That's what I figured, just wanted to clarify. So yeah, I like that one, that it's the most. It's not exactly the max weekly benefit, but it's still better than MetLife. So the fact that it will provide, 6+% more than the other options, I think is fantastic. As well as having the, kind of the clumped together, rate benefit as far as it being cheaper for coupling
For-
everything together.
Yeah.
And then it also, for the long term, having the same increased percentage payout over the other plans, while not being like way more expensive, I think is a great option, so.
Anyone else? No further discussion? Chair would entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve a short-term, long-term, and life insurance contract with Lincoln National Corporation at the benefit percentage of 66.67%.
Is there
Support.
support? Motion by Ryan, support by Winchester. Any further discussion? I'm going to ask for a roll call.
Richard Kinnaman,
Yes.
Derek Burton,
Yes.
Jennifer Ryan,
Yes.
Mike McCanny,
Yes.
Karen Winchester, yes, Ryan Mattson,
Yes.
George Cullis.
Yes. I asked for the roll call because I wanted the employees to see the vote of confidence that was put in there. Thank you.
We're also spending money, don't we have to?
Pardon?
We're also spending money, don't we have to roll call anyway?
Contract, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sounded better the
Good.
first way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Atta girl, just pull that rug right out from underneath me. There you go. Actually, we agreed to do it. We didn't give permission for us to sign the contract in the motion.
But we have a signer's policy.
Okay. All right, so, number 7, that we asked the attorney to come up with a draft facility use policy. Lisa, would you like to present that?
We took a stab at a draft for you, primarily for discussion purposes. I did meet with Karen, with the clerk and the treasurer. We did talk about the policy. We brought it to as best an agreement as we could, but thought that it needed further discussion, deliberation from you all.
Okay.
I would say for the most part, most of it, we were all pretty, the only thing that really needs, I mean, obviously, you guys can have feedback, but I just meant like the main sticking point for us was a frequency and duration of usage. It didn't really seem practical to put in anything, like, it feels like it needs a frequency and duration of usage. Like, you wouldn't want someone booking it, like, just constantly, right? Because then the community room becomes that person's room instead of for everybody. But anytime we did come up with ideas that would make sense, it didn't really allow for the 2 weeks for Haya. Haya was already aware of this, that they were, and so they've already had other arrangements made, but it just didn't, as much as I wanted to let them use it, if we're gonna create a policy, that there wasn't really a way to make it so that one group could do it for like 3 weeks straight, that wouldn't somehow create openings for other groups to do it. That kind of defeats the purpose of a community room.
See, and I thought that was getting very granular myself, the whole picking frequencies and all that stuff, so I was okay with admitting it, but I mean, that was just my thoughts. Because I mean, either way, they're doing a security deposit, it has to be approved by us, so if we have another group that approves it beforehand, then they would, I would assume, get that date over the other one, but.
Well,
I mean, that was
and I
just
think
my
from a community standpoint, I think people would understand, especially the program like the Jacobson Quinn. It's been around for, 30 years? They've been doing it. And I think it does say in this agreement that these are for nonprofit groups that serve the community. And I certainly think that Haya falls under that category as well.
Yeah.
We were more looking at when we were occupying the building, when it becomes occupied,
Yeah.
not necessarily for when it's vacant.
Right.
Because then you have 2 or 3 weeks, and then we have board meetings, and then they're storing things. There was a question from Lisa that what happens if somebody was to break in and take their belongings, and we had that discussion and concern.
And that would fall under that hold harmless, so, right?
Yeah, they would
Well, I was gonna
definitely,
say,
everybody would have to
That would
sign
fall
a
under
hold
their
harmless.
insurance, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the insurance carrier said they had no problem as long as we required insurance in the hold harmless agreement.
So I was at a meeting earlier this week in Highland for WOTA, and their community center is right next to the township hall, and I went over in there to see theirs, and I was amazed at how many people were there and the different projects that were going on and the things there. Theirs is laid out differently, but they have one main room and then they have some breakout rooms in there. But I was surprised at how many different things were going on in there. And then they do have a couple of times a year where the community center isn't open on a daily basis like they were using it that day because of projects that are in there. One of them is the food baskets for the holidays and stuff. And they just have it on their calendar, and it's like, during this period, it'll be occupied for this. So I thought it was a good use. Did you do their facility agreement as well?
I believe we did.
Yeah. Well, I know you're their attorney, so, all right.
Well, and if the board wants to remove the frequency or duration, or maybe even remove it and then add it back in once the building's occupied and it feels like impractical not to have a restriction like that, that can be a conversation.
Well, and we can always, as we move along, if we find something that doesn't work, we can amend this, correct?
Yeah, this is amendable at any time, but if you don't put a restriction, then how long will everybody have? Well, I mean, there has to be some sort of limit. maybe not in your rules, but if you give a permit, if there's something in writing other than these rules, something has to dictate how long they're able to occupy.
So as you're talking about limits, can you put in a special, could you say we understand that, say, because we're talking about Haya, I'll use him as an example, that Haya would be an annual thing. Are you allowed to put that in there so you don't have to give everybody 2 weeks or what? I don't know how long Haya uses it.
I think 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say-
typically 3 to 3.5 weeks.
I would suggest maybe we say, use up to a number of days, and it's whatever, I don't know if it's 29 or 30, whatever it is, that number that qualifies as like someone establishing residency, whatever that just like.
Permanency.
Yes, that would just make it, use of the space can be up to a number of days, and ask for a specific date range for their, what they feel their project is gonna be.
Well, I think you're tipping on to trying to write down common sense into a rule. And the limitation of denial applications, it says here, the township reserves a right to limit and/or deny requests for facility usage. There's a calendar involved. We can look at it and go, well, no, sorry, can't do that. We got this, this, and this. We can let you have it for a week and a half. They have to come to us for this approval, right?
I don't read that.
It's right here. Number G, limitations and denial of applications. So we already have the limit. We can put a limit on it when they put their application in.
Right, but when I read number 5, letter A, applications for facility usage shall be made to and decided upon by the township clerk. I read that, and that does not sound like it's coming in front of us to decide the usage.
Right, I don't believe it is coming to us
No.
either reason.
So-
I think that would be
But-
impractical for every application, in the
I
future, if it's being
understand, I'm not
used
saying
all the
that that
time.
is,
Well, then you're
a
gonna
bad
have to
thing, it's
use,
just
you're
we'll
gonna have to use a calendar as your pulse.
Well, and I was gonna say, if the village does it, and they have a rule that says you gotta submit your application 2 months before the
Yeah,
deadline.
Yeah.
I think if there's not gonna be like a certain number of days usage, we have to have specific dates. Because then if, as you're talking about a calendar, like we'll have to be able to plan, especially if it's gonna be 2 months in advance. Like you'd have to be able to look at a calendar and be like, okay, this person is gonna be in there using it for this 2 weeks.
What
I
if-
can book the next person that following Sunday or Monday or whatever.
Right.
And if they're not done, I mean, they need to get out or work with whoever's coming up after, but
Right.
like, yeah, I think if there's not gonna be a maximum amount, it just will have to be specific date ranges.
Well, and I
Mr.
think,
Supervisor,
Well,
please keep in mind that one of the key legal reasons that you want a policy in place is to ensure it's equally enforced and applied across the board. And so, I know there was discussions about particular organizations, but whatever you put in your policy will apply to everybody.
right. Well, and could the policy allow the clerk to approve individual dates? But if it's a group date, that comes to the board. Is there a way to, I'm seeing a head shaking yes. So,
Yes, because it's based on the purpose of the use. It's not being discriminatory, it's not just because it's this organization or that organization, but when somebody comes in and submits an application, they're gonna submit an application for a certain number of days on a calendar, presumably, and those are the dates, if it gets approved, those are the dates they're allowed to occupy.
so for example, somebody wants to use it for a birthday party, a baby shower, or whatever, that's just approval by the clerk and the calendar, or whoever's handling it. I don't mean to put it always in your office, but
I know we should put clerk or designee.
designate, right. But I'm just saying, those could just be approved based on the calendar. If there's an organization that wants a longer time period, that needs to come before the board 2 months in advance.
Yep.
Well, we would have.
So like
we
more
would
than
then-
12 hours?
We gotta
Yeah.
change this if
Yes.
we're letting private
Yeah,
events go.
cause number 3.
No.
Well, that wouldn't
talks
happen
about-
till
No, we're
after we
not,
were there.
yeah.
Yeah, permissible users is nonprofit organization.
Yes,
Well-
and that was
Yes.
intended to be until that's an occupied building.
Right. But I have.
So we would amend this if, when we have the new office.
We can
Right,
amend
then
it.
residents in general could book it for a book club or an HOA meeting or things like that, yeah.
Okay.
We'd open it up.
I mean, at some point, you're probably gonna have somebody wanna take Monday, I'm making it up, Wednesday afternoon or Tuesday afternoon for craft club.
Right,
Or
and
for
that was
euchre.
a point I was gonna make, you know, if we're
But by,
accepting fees
I think by
and
the time we
whatever,
get to that, we'll probably have a director for the community center, I would imagine.
that was gonna be a point, like, not just 501c3s, but it's an opportunity for more residents to use it, more fees, you know, whatever it is,
Right.
you know, whatever, that could be another, albeit small, but revenue source for the township and a space that the community could use, you know, so.
My concern is how, you know, if somebody's using it and we're doing this right now and it's winter and somebody's gonna use it and it snows 6 inches, now we're going to plow it, we have to salt it, who's cleaning up before, who's letting them in? There's all sorts of things. Who's facilitating past the application?
Well, I would think the group that's using it would be responsible for that. For example, for Haya, we know that Teresa Blaska is the one that's been running it for years, and Scott said he would take care of the plowing and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I think at
That,
this,
that would need to be added, for
Yeah.
sure.
I think that just needs to be had.
Right,
Lisa,
but it-
Lisa disagrees.
But it's also on you. It's your liability
That's it,
because it's
yeah.
your property. So if they don't do what the agreement says they do, it's still on you.
Okay.
Right, but that, what about somebody else? If somebody else, now that they know that this opportunity has arisen, anybody, so it wouldn't be that situation. So then now we're having to plow and salt
Not
and
if we put it in here.
put what in here? That they have to do it? If it snows the day they use it, they're responsible?
As the person who handles this for the school district, outside use, in our rental, it does talk about if it is a plowing or something of that nature outside of our normal process. So if it's, you know, if it's a Thursday night and they have to plow to be ready for school on Friday, they're not charged for that. But if it is a Saturday and there's not going to be regular use, then if we have to plow specifically for that event, then that can be billed as an extra expense. You want to hold the liability of actually having that process done, because the minute you let some guy come, you know, Scott can do a great job plowing, but the minute you do that, you lose your liability to that.
Somebody's falls, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all good enough and
Yep.
somebody falls.
Okay.
So it sounds like we would arrange an agreement with the plow company or whoever, and then we would then charge the user of this space for that plowing of that
Correct.
day?
Yeah, if it's not a plowing that we need,
Right.
then it's listed that
Can
could
we get
be
a
an
copy of that
additional
agreement you
expense.
have? We don't have to vote on this tonight. This is a draft for us to look at, right? Can we get a copy of that agreement you have so we
I'll
can
get you.
marry some of that stuff in
And
here?
then who cleans up after them? So how does that work? Who sets them up and who,
I bill
Look
for
after 'em.
custodial service.
all right, so that's another consideration that we need to
Sure.
think about.
See, one thing to think about too is we would, if that's the case and we postpone this, we wanna let Haya know, because then. we-
They've already,
They've already
they've
made
already
other
made arrangements for this year.
Alright,
They didn't want to risk,
right,
they didn't know where it was going to go today, so.
right,
Yep.
okay.
Any other discussion?
As far as applicability, are we limiting it to the office space for now? Of the
Mhm.
new building?
Yes,
Yep,
the
yep.
bays and things have documents,
Got it.
so we can't let anybody, and there's a separate door for that area.
Yep. And then we talked about the dates, permissible users.
All right, so
I
if
think
anybody
that's all I
has
got.
any specific notes, if you can get that to us, And Richard, you'll get that
Yeah.
agreement to us, and we can
Did
do
we
so.
want to have further conversations about frequency and duration in the future? Or, I don't know how, where people, there was a lot of conversation about frequency and duration, so if we're
I
gonna
don't think
update
we
it.
came with an answer on
Right,
that, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
If it were my vote, it would be specific dates. And not to exceed, whatever that permanency number is.
Specific dates.
Like the
meaning-
dates that they're gonna be using the space. So if it's for more than one day, if they need it for a week, we have to have the specific days for what
Oh,
their use
right.
is.
That would be
Right,
on
but
the
how many days
application.
are you gonna
Yeah.
let?
Well, that needs to come to the board. That's why they have to submit at least 2 months in advance.
Oh, for more than one day, it would come to the
Yes.
board.
Okay,
I
that's
did not
something
read
we
that.
just made up. That's not in this contract.
No, I know, but
Okay.
that's the purpose of this discussion. That's why I asked the question. She nodded, yes, we can do that.
Okay.
And that was my recommendation, that for the individual stuff, it could be approved
I
by
would
the-
think,
a designee of the township.
anything that is like a one-time use, whether it's 1 day or 10 days, should just be however your administrative stuff goes. If it's a reoccurring event, I would say that that might need to come to us. So if we're saying, you know, a book club wants to use it every Thursday afternoon, with a undetermined endpoint, then I think that's something we need to approve. But a short-term something, you know, whether, like I say, whether it's, you know, somebody holding an event for a couple hours, or whether it's, you know, hire for 3 weeks, that to me is a short-term use, basically a one-time. But if you do reoccurring, that I think should come before us.
I still wonder if we want at least some kind of guidelines in here, because otherwise, if we're making a decision, it has to be based on something. So it could come before the board, but does the board have the right to say no? If they want it like, you know what I'm saying? So like, if we don't have any guidance in here, we would have to say yes, or we could be in trouble
Right.
for picking on a group.
Yeah.
That's where, like, if they meet the parameters of the application, I don't know that any of them would have to come in front of us. If they
Right.
meet
Right.
everything that's within the application and contract and sign. That's why I think there just needs to be language as far as up to how many days and requiring a specific date range. And if they meet all the things, then administration can just sign off on it. and
Yeah.
it's
Well,
fine.
and once we're using the building, it's, I would assume, it would be the boardroom as well. So if the community room is the boardroom, you're gonna be limited on how long you can occupy, because we're gonna have a meeting every month, and we're gonna have planning
Right.
every month, and so the boards are gonna be meeting on a regular basis. You wouldn't be able to occupy it for 2 weeks at a
Right.
time probably anyway.
Right.
Well, unless you fit between the dates.
Right, if you'd have to squeeze just right in there.
Yeah. Well, and
Okay.
if we view those, like, we can get the copy of the one from Highland, and we can look at them.
Yeah,
I mean,
look and see what
it
other
shouldn't be rocket
communities
science.
do,
Other
right.
communities are doing this, and they work well, and the communities use the buildings.
Yeah, well, and maybe the restriction for how long only really matters now, right now, while we're not there. Like using
Right.
that occupancy date or whatever the terminology
yeah.
used was,
Well, that's
makes
why-
sense now,
that's
because we
why I
don't
don't-
want someone there for 3 months. But
well,
once
that's
we're
why
there, that wouldn't be possible.
But that's why I'm thinking we don't need one if it has to come before the board.
We don't need what?
I don't see where we need a limit if it has to come before the board right now, because we're not there.
It shouldn't have to come before the board if we have the right language.
Okay.
Yeah, and well,
I
and
mean, that's,
even if
it
it's,
seems
Okay,
tedious.
then what happened, I'm just,
even if it
yeah.
did come before the
if it's,
board,
if
how would
it's,
they
if
say
we
no?
put 30-day limit on it, and somebody says we need it for 40, then we just flat out tell them no? Or can it come to the board and say, yeah, we can do that?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at how we can be,
Well, maybe there's
It
an appeal
can.
process, but
Right.
I mean, would we want someone to have the room for 40 days? What is someone using the room for 40 days?
well, and again, I don't know.
Right,
But,
I just-
yeah, those, yeah.
So the way it's written right now is you would be, so go to Karen. If Karen's like, no, we ain't doing that, then they can appeal it to you, and then you can then approve it or deny it. based on the way this is written, that I read this right now. But I would say, and again, this would have to be written in there, but the 30-day example, and they're like, hey, we're not for 40, we can approve the 30, but that's all they're getting. So I wouldn't say we deny the whole thing, as long as that 30 days, it fits within the actual contract that we laid out, they get it for 30. They'll figure the other 10 out, you know?
That's what I said, yeah,
That would be, because anyone that's in there beyond a certain number of days can then all of a sudden they have some standing as far as.
What, I'm wondering why, well, other than Hayab, so I think that we're making this for them, basically, because what reason would you give somebody else 30 days in?
Well,
So,
it's any 501c3
I
that
say, I
is
don't-
gonna
To do-
I don't know
provide.
the
Think-
answer to
think
that
about,
until it's
the-
presented to us.
Think about the library currently. They're shut down for a month. You know, what if they had come to us and said, you know, we would like to temporarily use that room for, you know, the
office.
30 to 60 days that
Mhm.
we are out of the building, then, you know, that's a longer period of time.
It's a special circumstance,
It's
No,
and
that
special
makes sense.
that's what I'm
circumstances.
saying, the
but-
board could look
They
at.
could, yeah, absolutely.
You know,
But we're
Plenty of
all of a
unusual things.
All of a sudden, the American Legion was out of their building because of a tornado hit.
Right.
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 Those are things that are hard to put into a policy to allow, but at some point, I think those are the kind of things that should come to the board and say, hey, we've got a circumstance or a special situation.
Right.
I do think,
Exceptions
You had-
outside
Yeah.
of
Look at the
the
tornado that
policy
hit
may
the,
be brought to the board.
you know,
Yes.
I do agree with Karen, we need, maybe it's not in the policy, maybe it's just like an internal procedure, but we do need guidelines for, like, once we've upgraded the building and we've got like key codes or key cards, it's easy to, like, let you have access for this number of days and now you're done. But as of right now, you know, someone's gotta literally manually let them in and out of the building at all times, and that's.
Check on
And are they supposed
after
to-
them
Yeah,
and,
exactly. So that's a whole other process that right now pretty much has been on George, but I don't know that he's okay with,
Well,
you know, letting people in and out whenever they
When
want.
Haya did it last year, they took care of their own. And they went in, used the building, and when they were gone, it was clean, it was,
but then nobody turned down the heat.
pardon?
Nobody turned down the heat. So
Oh,
it
the
was-
temperature stayed up.
Yep. So that was a problem.
Yeah, we need a checklist too, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
before and after.
They didn't turn the heat on?
Down.
Oh, down, okay. Yeah, no, like Jen said, with a checklist, or just go over and check after. I didn't know that was an issue.
But that does, I mean, when I'm thinking about like being in the building, if Karen's approving and she says, yeah, Haya, you can use it for 2 weeks, but then George isn't available to actually let them in the building, there could be a disconnect there.
We can communicate that stuff and work it out on an individual basis.
It should be an agreed upon policy on who's taking on the responsibility for all of this. Because it's a lot, if it gets really busy, it's a lot.
Well, and I said, by the time we get to the building in that position, we're probably gonna have somebody, whether it's a part of their job description, that will oversee that part of it.
Well, hopefully too, I mean, if we're doing this remodel and all this thing, like technology's on our side. Like, there's gotta be ways that like, here's your temporary key card,
there
and, you
is,
know, you put it in front, it only
absolutely.
works within the date range or
Yes.
whatever, like, there's, you know, there will be ways to make it,
The key
Not
cards,
that, like,
the access at Carl Richter was so specific that you couldn't get in after a certain time
Yeah.
or couldn't get in before a certain time.
And I
Yeah.
had key cards that I would sign out.
Yeah.
Like, this is how I get in my office.
I know they have ones too where like it's a number pad and you can set a temporary number that's only viable for this time period and give them that number, and that's,
right.
Yeah,
And
we'll
you can
figure
set
that
up
out.
a smart thermostat, you know, that you can
Yes.
program to come on.
Automatically at night it'll kick down to.
though if we're in the
Yeah.
building, it won't
It won't.
Yeah.
matter
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
And that would need to, none of these things I don't think would have to come back here. That would be more of an internal
Yeah.
process than
Yes.
anything else.
Okay. Does that pretty much do it for everybody? I've got some more work to do on that.
Good.
Then, number 8 is holiday office hours. So this was something that we as an administration have had a conversation. Times are changing. And we currently have, we're open 2 days the week of Christmas and 2 days the week of New Year's. Depending on where the holiday falls, if it falls on a weekend, you still get the holiday, a work day, so it can move around the calendar. But the bottom line is, there's 2 days for both weeks. In the past, we've had, the clerk's office has been closed for the holidays for 2 weeks, for what, 10 plus years? Yeah, 10 plus years. The treasurer's office would be open, and while it was always a bone of contention, they were open and they were there. We have a new treasurer now. There is nothing that says you have to be in certain times. And if we only have one person in the office, the issue for me has been security, especially when it's the treasurer, because they're collecting money. And sometimes it can be big sums of money when the cash comes in. And last year, our deputy treasurer worked the holidays through that week, and I came in as the second person. Well, the second week, I got sick, and I couldn't come in, so we ended up closed those 2 days. Now, years ago, we didn't have it set up so you could pay your taxes at State Bank, but now you can. So last year, we had 16 people that, while we were closed, used State Bank to pay as opposed to here. To me, it's a security issue. We don't have that many come in. I know you had mentioned a couple times you had to open by state law, and you sat there for the whole day for 2 people?
Yeah, on a Friday.
Yeah, on a Friday. But again, it's supposed to require 2 days. And I said, because we have so little usage of the building for that time period, that it would make sense to me that we close between Christmas and New Year, not the first week, but the 2 days between Christmas and New Year. Because otherwise you have to obligate 2 people there, and that's not always possible to do. Now,
It also gives more than anything, gives the residents warning ahead of time that we will be closed those 2 days. Because like you said, last year, George got sick, so we had to close because we didn't want Nina there collecting money all by herself. And then now residents show up at the building and see a sign that says, you can go pay at the bank. But if we're closed in advance and they already know that's happening, I mean, it can happen vice versa, obviously, too. Nina could get sick and then same situation, but.
well, and the other thing is, because we've had this conversation, that for years, we've opened the building with just one person in it. We've never had issues. But at the same time, it's only been the last few years that the village had somebody get upset and jump over a counter, and they went to fisticuffs at the village. We've had, in the last couple of years, 2 death threats. We were actually under lockdown for a couple of days on it. Times have changed. And the fact that we now have State Bank set up to collect the tax, there's no surcharge to the resident, there's no charge to us. It's just a courtesy that State Bank does it, and it goes right into our account. So it's easy to handle. I felt that this is one of those times when we talked about going from a 5-member board to a 7-member board. Instead of the 3 people that work there every day, this is a time when the 4 trustees can speak in and look at this policy and give your opinion.
I want to say too, I think it maybe could be something that is re-looked at again if we're in the new building, because I would like to see at the new building us to have a security window. When I worked at the city of Flint during COVID, they put in a special window, a walk-up window, so that you could have the whole building locked down, but you could still take payments, so that if someone is there by themselves, the building's completely locked down, but you can still take payments at a special window. But we just don't really have that where we're at. I mean, you can't even see when someone comes in where we're at right now. So it's a little.
And so specifically, right now, you're speaking about the 29th and 30th.
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd be closed from the 25th through the 1st, so reclose it? or-
24th.
We close the 24th, so the 23rd open and the 2nd open.
No, second's a Friday, so they're not,
Oh, well.
22nd.
In general.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
Yeah, it would just be the 2 days between Christmas and New Year's. And it's basically driven from the security issue of the building. And like she said, we get into the new building, if we put a window in like that,
Yeah, it
then
won't
that,
be
that
an
resolves the
issue.
problem.
yeah.
Which would be
Close the
nice for things like that
24th and
Friday,
reopen
would-
on Monday the
Absolutely.
5th.
Yeah.
Close the 24th and reopen on Monday the 25th.
No.
January 5th, you mean?
Or, yeah,
Okay.
January 5th.
Yeah, I was gonna say, close the 24th and open the 25th. No.
The 5th, yeah, sorry. Yes, the
Well,
5th.
are we just looking at this year or this like a consistent thing going forward?
We can address it again next year,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
but
So the 29th and 30th are really the only days we're talking about being off that wouldn't typically be off, because you have
Right.
New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, you're off that Friday anyway, so it'd be that Monday and that Tuesday, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And winter taxes are due when? Like-
February 14th.
Oh, okay, so it's not like they're on a.
Yeah. You do get a few people who want to make sure they get them in December
Yeah,
because it's in that calendar
for
year
income,
for
income tax purposes.
Right.
Yeah.
But they can go to state bank.
yeah, oh, okay. Oh, how late is state bank open
Choice
till?
bank, choice one bank.
Actually,
They're
it's,
actually open later than us
actually,
most
it's
days,
choice
they're open
one.
till 5.
It's now choice one
Yeah,
day.
choice one bank.
Okay, well, see, that was gonna be
Yeah,
another.
we knew what you meant.
So, another thing I was gonna ask is then maybe if on that 23rd, for example, on December 23rd, if we could stay open that late hours to account for that Wednesday of Christmas Eve, knowing we're gonna be closed those 2 days, the 29th
Oh, yeah,
and
stay open till
30th,
6 on the Tuesday?
On the 23rd, yeah. That way, cause I mean, like me, I don't even get back in town till 6.
Right.
So if I was a person who had to handle stuff in the office, I mean, you know, and I had to meet this timeline, you know, obviously I could account for that ahead of time, but.
Yeah. And that might be a good idea in general when we are closed on the Wednesday during the holidays, is to use one of those
Mhm.
other days as the
As a
till
late
6
day.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if the
Yeah.
bank's
I think
only
that's
open
fair.
till 5 too, I mean, that doesn't mean no good either,
Yeah.
you
Okay,
know?
so let
Yeah.
me take that one step further. So in doing this, we're going to stay open, on the 23rd, because we'll be closed on the 30th anyway.
Right.
Right,
So the 23rd, we're gonna stay open till 6.
yeah,
But see, that gives us more than a month to put it out
Mhm.
there, put the
Right.
sign in the window.
So is this something that needs a motion?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that the offices will be closed beginning December 24th and reopen on Monday, January 5th, with extended hours on the 23rd until 6 PM.
Support.
Motion by Kinnaman, support by Mattson. Any further discussion? None appearing, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. That takes us to our last public comment. Same rules apply as before. Just give your name and address when you come to the podium. Anyone for public comment?
We're gonna do that after
We're
public
gonna do
comment?
that after public comment. Come on.
Mary, you might want to use that little microphone.
We amended the agenda, Mary, but you might have come in after that.
Mary Blanchard, 3444 Old Creek Drive, Holland, Michigan. And I am here on behalf of Holly Township Parks and Recreation. And I wanted to let the community know that we have an event coming up on Saturday, December 6th. It is going to be crafts, cookies, and scavenger hunt. We are going to be open from noon until 1:30. This is a free event, open to all, and it is going to be held at Sorensen Park Nature Center at 5142 East Holly Road, Holly. We're going
Sorry.
to be having cookie decorating, show off your creativity and decorate delicious cookies, all ages welcome. Crafts, come and make a card or decoration for your family or home. Scavenger hunt, dress warm and find Sustainability Conference. And while we were there, I spoke to Groveland Township Supervisor Kevin Scramlin and Village of Holly Manager Tim Price. I have had an idea, and I would appreciate any residents or township elected to weigh in. I had previously asked when I first started last October with Holly Township Parks that how much the township and village were paying to Oakland County Parks with the 1% millage that had just passed. And Jen had told me that the amount of money that Holly Township and village send to Oakland County every single year will be $314,000 plus. And you know, the thing is that is considerably more than even the township's park amount that we get. And so I have kind of been toying with the idea and would welcome any citizens or that to weigh in on possibly forming a conglomerate, collaborative effort similar to Southern Lakes Parks and Recreation, where we could join with Township, Village, Groveland Township, and possibly Rose Township, and just see if we could get some of that Oakland County money back here, that we could work on that. Tim Price said he would be willing to sit down in the next couple weeks. Kevin Scramlin said he would be very open to having a discussion. But I actually think this might even be better driven by, driven in cooperation with citizens. The fact is that Holly Township Parks, we have dedicated tax funded for that. The village, I think, gets mainly what's left over in their budget. Rose Township does not have a park system whatsoever, and I don't believe Groveland has a park system either. So we have two entities that would not be funded at all. So it is something that will take a lot of talk and effort and that, but I would be willing to look into it further and would welcome anybody to join with that. Thanks.
Mary, before you walk away, what did you call the event at Sorensen?
It is called Crafts, Cookies, and Scavenger Hunt.
Oh.
And I do have a couple of flyers if anybody's interested.
And another thing, you know, to that is that the DDA may be interested in that, because I know I've gone to many downtowns I would have never visited had it not been for the parks. That's what my kids do. So, I had a lot of restaurants I would never eat at. I've been to a lot of stores I'd never been in. Had it not been for the parks our community had, so.
Okay. Well, and I know part of that money that you were talking about that goes to the parks was the voters in Oakland County approved that millage increase for the county parks. And even though we don't have a county park in Holly, although their excuse is
Okay.
the ORV park.
Right.
They called it Holly. And I complained at the time because I said, you just put a park in my township that everybody has to pay for. Well, all the other townships have parks that people can go in for free. And it was frustrating because we had offered them our property on Fish Lake Road several years ago to come out and make that Holly Oaks instead of naming the ORV park that. But that's what happened. Anyway. All right, anyone else for public comment? None appearing. We're going to move to number 9, which is closed session, discussion with the attorney on attorney-client privilege. We need a motion to go into that. I would like to take a 5-minute break before we do that.
But then let the public know that we're not gonna be coming out and making any decisions.
Yeah, there'll be no decisions, so when we come out of closed session, we'll just close the meeting. So you don't need to be here to hear what we decided. There's no decision. We're just gonna be hearing the information from the attorney. So from a public standpoint, we're pretty much done when we do this.
Are
I'll
we
make
taking
the
a
motion.
5-minute break, or are we making a motion and going in?
Do we have to make a motion for that?
Not to
a
take a-
break?
Not for the
No,
break.
Just to start,
Just
we
make a
could,
motion to go into it, and then as long as.
Well,
our
it's quarter
attorney-
after 8. We can make the motion to go into closed session at 8:25. That's like 8 minutes.
I'll make the motion to go into closed session at 8:25 to discuss attorney-client privileged information per MCL 15.2681H.
Is there support?
Support?
Motion by Kinnaman, support by Burton.
Roll call.
Roll
Oh,
call.
Do we have,
Close.
yeah.
Just discussion real quick. Are we, this is 100%?
Lisa, does it have to be roll call for closed session?
Yes,
Okay.
it has to be 2/3.
Oh,
This is the correct language in order to go in, correct?
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay, I just always like to make sure, because,
It just feels odd
That's
to
why I
be
read
going
it
into closed
exactly the way
session,
it
but
was written. Yeah.
at a different time. Is that okay? They're saying that we just made motions.
Just say going into closed session, I wouldn't attach a time. You could take a break even in closed session.
Okay,
I'll
All right.
amend my
you.
motion to remove the time.
And I'll support that amended motion.
all in favor of the amendment?
roll call.
Roll.
Oh, got to roll call that too?
mhm.
So before we do that, I guess my question is, was it wrong to say we were going to go in at a certain time?
It just isn't necessary because when you go into closed session, you always take a break so that the residents can exit the room anyway, so there was no need to do that.
Okay. So is there a need to amend it? It can just stay, or does it need to be taken out?
It
Well, at
already
this point,
did
we've
it.
already amended it,
they've
I've already
already-
supported it, we'll just let it roll with.
Okay, roll call, it's like, I just feel like we make mountains out of molehills.
Yeah, pretty.
Go ahead, roll
Derek
call.
Burton,
Yes.
Jennifer Ryan.
Yes?
Karen Winchester, yes. Richard Kinnaman.
Yes.
Michael McCanny.
Yes.
Ryan Matson.
yes.
George Cullis.
Yes. Amendment is 7-0, and the motion was 7-0.